recording afterwards. I'll send this out, as well as this will get posted on YouTube. So without further ado, my name is Ross. I run a company called SMB Video, and we do video editing for small businesses. And something that started happening in the last few months was I got more and more people asking me to teach them Descript. So I started offering tutoring, and I created a course called Descript Mastery. And I've been doing these webinars. This is the second one. I did the first one on the last day of August, and then I'm going to do it on the last day of every month going forward. And the idea is it's just another touch point where you can get time with me for free. So feel free to ask questions. I'm going to talk about updates, like new things in the software, because Descript updates very frequently. If you've been using it for any amount of time, you know that the UI changes a few times a month. There are different hotkeys, different features being added all the time. So that is the purpose of this. It's kind of like office hours, ask me anything. So feel free to put it in the Zoom chat or in the YouTube chat for those watching on YouTube. And we'll just go ahead and kick it. I'm going to start. The plan for the meeting is I'm going to just start as if you know nothing, unless you tell me that you have a specific blocker or you want a certain workflow, then feel free to bring those up. But otherwise, I'm just going to start going over new features and basic workflow. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And there we go. All right, let me know if there's any issues with audio or you're unable to see the screen or anything else as we go. All right, so this is our workspace view. Hopefully this is familiar. If you've been using the software at all, you know that this is where all of our projects get stored. This is mine. I have a lot of different folders in here. You can create new folders with this button in the top right. And then what you can do is I created a folder for the webinar. I just called it webinar. And I put this little star here. And what that does is it favorites it. So if I click it, you can see that it's been added underneath my workspace. And I can click that. There's nothing in here. There's no projects, but this is how a folder would work. All your projects can get stored inside of your folder. So up in the new button in the top right, this is where we would create a video project or an audio project. And I'm going to show you, the first things I'm going to show you today is a quick recording and a remote recording, because these are new features that were added in the last 5 weeks or so. So the first thing is the quick recording. And when you do this, it gives you a choice to do a camera only, or you can do screen in camera. And if you can see, this is my little icon here of what the webcam is picking up. And you can resize it. You can move it around your screen, whatever you want. You can close it right there. And then you can choose what camera. If you have multiple cameras, you can change it there. Whether to display the screen or not. If I just turn that off, and now it just defaulted back to the camera option. And which mic you want to use. If you have multiple microphones, you can select that here. Just going to check okay. Just checking the Zoom, making sure that no one had entered or left any comments. So then we got the settings menu. You can choose a lot of different things. And I have different drives here, so I'm going to pick the right one. You can choose your privacy if you want this to be public, unlisted, or restricted. And I should mention the purpose of this video message. This is kind of like a Loom video. If you're familiar with Loom, when you record it, it's going to go to Descript's cloud. It's going to generate a link, and then that link can be sent out to anyone you want. So with Loom, a common use case is if you're training employees, you can send out that link. They can watch it on their own time. It could be how to do something in a particular software, certain training video. And it's very useful. You can work async in that manner. So that's the gist of it. If I hit start recording, let's see if this will work when I have Zoom and this going. it let me select which part of the screen I wanted to record, and that's the light part. And then the outer gray part is not within the realm of this recording. And assuming you're able to see this, there's a stop and pause button on the right. I'm going to go ahead and stop it. And it gives me this. I can name it at the top and play it back. Oh, the audio sounds really bad. Is that coming through on the Zoom as well? Where it is. Okay. Let me know if the audio is really bad, because it sounded really bad on there, and sometimes this mic does that. So it picked up a error. It did this blue underline, and it's telling me that's a filler word. And it also has this little toast at the bottom that says one filler word detected, and then a remove button. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that, and it's gone. And I'm gonna unplug this mic just in case that's causing an issue. Okay. Might be a little echoier now, but hopefully there's no weird feedback. So we see that it automatically transcribed it. That's awesome. You can add markers. Markers are a way to internally mark your project. So if this is really long and there is multiple sections, you could just label these as section. Whatever you want. The idea of this is that it doesn't affect the video at all. It's just for your own internal purposes. And on a project, it allows you to quickly go through it like a table of contents, like a chapter. You can change how long the video is, or this is word gaps. So this is looking for word gaps of 1.4 seconds or more. If I bring this all the way down to like 0.2, I didn't really have any, so I didn't pick anything up. That's fine. And then there's settings. Again, you can make it public, unlisted, restricted, etc. Whether to show the transcript on the page that is generated. Again, it's going to generate a URL where this can be sent to people on your team. And studio sound, whether or not studio sound is applied. Studio sound is a AI feature that takes your audio and it improves it. If you got echo, if you have dogs barking, sounds in the background, it'll remove those using AI. Pretty awesome feature. And then what you would do? Well, first of all, you could copy this to a new project. And by clicking it, it automatically opens up a new project. And now we're inside of our project view. And if I can get back to my, oh, I think I lost it. But I could have also published from that last view. But now that I'm in my project view, this is fine. I'm just going to hit publish. And we got a couple options here. I can do the web link, which is, let me just show you how this works. You can check the resolution on that. You can change who has access, whether it's indexed by search engines, meaning it could be found on Google, or if it's only with people with the link, or if it's people that you have invited to your project. Those are your options there. And then pretty much the same settings as before, show transcript, allow comments. But what we're going to go ahead and do is see how this looks in a page. And here we go. Which part of the screen I wanted to record. So this link is what you could copy and then send out to your team, to whoever you want to share something with. Okay, so that is video recording functionality. Next, let us look at remote recording. This is another thing that's been added in the last month. And basically, Descript bought the company, or at least they're partnering in some way. I don't know the details if they acquired it, but SquadCast and Descript are now partners, meaning they work together. So when you hit remote recording, and I already opened this in advance in preparation for this call, so it brings you to squadcast.com. There's my dog in the back. You can see him. It brings you to squadcast.com, and it says SquadCast by Descript. So they are integrated. And the first time you open it, you'll have to sign in and change some settings and things like that to approve the connection. But once you have that done, when you click that remote recording, it brings you here. And it is kind of like what we're used to with a Zoom call or any other type of, if you've used Riverside.fm or another remote podcasting software, this is what you get. You can name how you want to show up. I'll just call myself Ross. Echo cancellation, this is kind of like studio sound. And actually, it's for when you aren't wearing headphones as well. So this affects how the microphone picks up the audio that's coming through the computer speakers, and it'll cancel that out so that it's not picking up both your voice and the sound coming through the computer speakers. You can choose which microphone you want to use. You can choose which camera you want to use. You can change the resolution of the camera. I'm going to go ahead and go with the full resolution. And you can schedule it. If you had it scheduled for a different time, then it would show up there. And join session. And let's see if this even works while I'm also doing Zoom. Weird things might happen. Okay, this works. So we're live. I'm on a Zoom call or a SquadCast call. And the idea is this is, again, just like other call software that you've probably used. And you could invite people to this. There's this participants tab on the right side. You could hit invite. There's two components to this. There's a stage, which is who's showing up on the screen. If it was me and a guest, you would see that. Or there's also a backstage. And this is if you have a producer or just a live audience or somebody who is kind of in the wings while you're introducing them, and then you're going to bring them on to the call. That is what the backstage is for. And both of those generate a link, and that could just be shared with anyone you want to join your call. What else can I tell you about this? And just normal features. You do have to hit start recording, so that's important to note if you want this to go into Descript. And hopefully we can go ahead and do that. Let's see how this works, because yeah, okay, that's gonna work just fine. So what this is doing is now recording to SquadCast Cloud. And one of the advantages about SquadCast over other things like, say, Zoom, is Zoom records to its cloud, which SquadCast does something a little bit differently. This will end up in the cloud, but it records on participants' local hard drives first and then to the cloud. And what that is it gives you a higher resolution video and audio than you get with Zoom, Google Meets, etc. So that is one major advantage about SquadCast. And then you can change your settings in the bottom left. Pretty normal stuff. I'm going to go ahead and stop this and show you how this integrates with Descript. Right there. You see that on the right where my mouse is? There is an edit in Descript button. And all I have to do is press that. And it takes me to Descript Web, which is another new feature, by the way. I don't know how long you might have been using Descript. Looks like we got a couple of people on the YouTube stream now, which is great. But the web side of this, being able to use Descript from your browser, is new as of a month and a half ago. Up until then, you could only use it through the app. So what you have to do is hit create project and import files. Let me press that again. And it asks me if I want to open it in the browser or in the desktop. I always do the desktop. It's just more optimized. Go ahead and minimize that. And just takes a moment to load it. It's got a Descript, puts a lot of things in the cloud, and then you need to download it to your local hard drive to start editing it for it to be quick. It's transcribing. And it was only a 45-second thing, so this shouldn't take more than a couple more seconds here. but it just calls it Untitled Podcast from SquadCast. Let's just call this webinar demo from SquadCast. And then the point is, it's just a normal project. You can retitle it, you can edit it in the transcription, which it's already done. And I'm not seeing the video yet. Just that might take a second to load, or I might have done something in my settings. Let me go back to SquadCast to show you something that does happen. So, okay, let me explain what I'm doing. From this page, after you do the recording, there's this little side arrow button. When you click that, you get this thing that says manage recording with 3 dots, edit and Descript. When you click that, oops, no, that's not what I wanted either. Hold on. I should be getting more options that say like, I guess I was thinking of the download option here, where it asks you, do you want to download it as a video, .mp4? Do you want to download it as, close those, as audio only, .wave, or .mp3? So it gives you some options there. And then let me go ahead and leave this session. There's another option to edit in Descript. So prompts you multiple times in multiple places to get that over into Descript. And then it shows up here on your recent recordings on the right side. And then you can do all sorts of things, add to workflow, get all files, edit session, join session. Download, if you had multiple speakers, they would show up there and you could download each individual file or watch or listen to each individual speaker and just kind of get a more granular control over what you're getting there. Okay, but this isn't about SquadCast. I just wanted to show you at a high level how to get that connected and how to record your first one. So we can go ahead and, well, we're not getting video here, so actually I'm not going to use that. No, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just put in some stock footage here. I'm just going to start showing you things. So when we have this video, which is in audio only at the moment, and maybe the, yeah, okay, it's an audio only. I'm going to go ahead and just apply a stock background, just a video, just to start playing around with. And the way we do that, the way we add anything into our project is through the media bin here at the top. So it's a little play button with a rectangle around it. You click it, you got your files. You can, this is the file that's already in there. You can hit add files. And this is just allows you to browse your computer and add files from anywhere on your hard drive. Or you can go to videos, and this is Descript's built-in stock videos. So you got pictures of nature, you got videos of nature, you got, these are almost all nature, you got some birds, but you can also type in, the ones I find myself using most often are business stuff. You know, you got people sitting around a board table. You could type in a city. Let's type in New York. Look at that. You got just a footage of New York, some footages of Manhattan, Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty. You can do backgrounds. Backgrounds are a little bit less exciting. They're kind of just like these colors, or one that I use from time to time is like stars. You can just do like a starry background, the universe. So a lot of options there. Next is the GIFs. And these are just like little memes. You can find anything that you want here. There's 2 options here. You got Giphy GIFs, and these are the more like video, like these will be clips of The Office, Star Wars, different things like that. Or you can do Giphy stickers, and these are more like animated, like cartoonish type of stuff. So like this thank you that's bouncing around the screen. Now, one word of caution with all of these, but especially the GIFs, is copyright and royalty considerations. So They are royalty free, but they aren't copyright free. And the Giphy ones in particular are treated differently than the videos, the images, and the audio. So I recommend not using the GIFs for anything monetized, just in general. Buy your GIFs from another source. But if you're not worried about that, you have a small YouTube channel or you don't plan to monetize it, you have a different set of considerations. Okay, images. These come from Unsplash. Again, just stock, a lot of nature, a lot of city skylines, things like that. There are illustrations. There is an Unsplash tab. There is text to image. This is a pretty cool one. This one hasn't been around super long, but let's just say we want an image of an airport. Type that in. It's using AI to generate a new picture of an airport. And if you've ever used Dolly or Midjourney or anything, you know that the more specific you are, the better result it's gonna give you. But look at that, pretty cool. Next is the audio. You got music and sound effects. And you can demo it by hitting this little play button. And then sound effects are more little short things like, and I don't know if you're even able to hear this on the live stream, but it's there. So to add this, I'm just going to add that. You click on the name of it anywhere inside of this box, and it'll add it. Now, it says it's loading media there, and it's already done. Only takes a moment. But to familiarize you with this workspace, this bottom layer here is our script layer. You can think of this as our base layer. This is our bottommost layer. And this is what gets transcribed. This is our video, the one that I made on SquadCast. It's the, but it's not showing up for some reason. So it should be there. That is where our video and our audio is. And then this above it is our supporting layers. In this case, it's music. So let's go ahead and just play it. So what this is doing. Okay, and I don't know if you can hear it, but it's a little bit loud. It's kind of drowning out my voice a little bit. So what I would do is I would apply ducking. Over here in the audio effects on the right side, this is where we can apply everything to our audio. And the first thing I'm going to do is studio sound. Just hit that. It'll take a moment, AI process it, and it'll clean up the sound. But the second thing is the ducking. I'll hit this plus button, go to dynamics, and go to ducking. And I'll put it at 10%. And when you hover over it, if you can see that little black toast, it says other tracks will be reduced to this level, except when a gap clip is playing on this track. So what that does is while I'm speaking, while there's audio coming from the script layer, it'll reduce all of the other layers with sound to 10% of their volume. So it won't drown me out. Yeah, that's gonna work just fine. So what this is, there we go. And it's much more subtle in the background. Again, I apologize if you're not able to hear that, but just know that that ducking feature exists and it's super useful. Okay, now I'm gonna add a background. Let me do a starry background like I talked about. So I think it looks nice. So again, to talk through what I did, I went to the media bin, I went to video backgrounds, and then typed star into the search bar, and I just found one I liked. So if you hover your mouse over it, you get a little demo of it. It might be too small to tell, but those are playing, and you just click it to apply it. So let's take a look. Yeah, okay, that's gonna work just fine. And it's kind of playing in slow motion. So, and you can see this is repeating. It's actually only a short clip. So if I hit in this duration thing on this right side, where it says once, you can see this is only a 10-second clip. Hit play. That's gonna work just fine. But so that's it playing only once. If I hit loop, it'll repeat itself all the way to the end of that scene. Right now, this entire project is just one scene, and I'll explain what that means in a moment. But this 10-second clip, it's kind of slow. So what we can do to speed it up is right here under duration. It's currently playing at 1x. So let me just bump that up to 2x by typing the number 2 in there. You can also click it and slide it left and right to speed it up and slow it down. But again, I'm just going to put it at 2x. And look at that. That's gonna work just so what this is doing is now it's playing a lot quicker. So it's a lot more obvious that it's moving. Cool. The next thing I will do is add some captions. So here in the top is this T button. There's title, subtitle, and text. And those are to add titles, static titles to the video. Let's add one just for fun. Starry video. And right now you can see we now have a third layer. There's a layer for the title, a layer for the background, and the audio layer, as well as, once again, the base layer, the script layer. So with our title, it's pretty big right now. So we can edit that over here on the text property heading. And it's currently Roboto is the font. Let's bump that down to size 200 or 100. Oops, I selected the wrong layer there. I can click on it. When I get these 4 dots in the corners, I can move that layer around or bring that to the top. And because it's white and there's that white star in the middle, it's kind of getting drowned out. So I'm gonna add a little border to that. Hit this plus button. And there we go, stands out a little bit more. I can also add a shadow with this effects, toggle that on. And that's a little bit thick for my liking. So I'm gonna just turn that blur down. There we go. I think that looks better. Just fine. All right. Now, so that is title, and title, subtitle, text, they're pretty much the same, but they're just different defaults. Title is going to be big and bold, subtitle a little bit smaller, text is even smaller than that. But they can all be adjusted to anything you want, and they're all static. The next is captions. Now, captions are not static. Captions are based off of your transcript, and they are synced to what you're saying as you're going through the video. And right now they're black, so you probably can't see them. I'm going to change that to white. The fill, change it to white. There we go. And it's got a white background as well. It's kind of weird. So there's an active word feature, which is saying that the word, as I say it, has a white background and a white fill. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that by hitting this minus button, and it's gone. The future words is kind of like a karaoke effect. So if I make it like, just to make this really obvious, I make it yellow. Okay, that's gonna work just fine. So yeah, it's making the unspoken word portion yellow, and then as it gets said, as it's in the past, it turns white. So you can really get super granular with this, do some really cool stuff. You can change the border. You can add a background to the whole thing, which, let me do that. I'll add these ones that are plaid looking are gradient. So they're less than 100% opacity. This one has 10%. So let's do that. It'll just add a little texture to it. This is doing is now recording to SquadCast. Okay, cool. That is good for the caption. Let me just take a quick glance at the comments, make sure no one said anything. Nothing so far. Okay. So we got captions, we got a title, we can add shapes. Since we don't have a video of my head in this, I'm just going to add a waveform and a progress bar to make it a little interesting. So let's move this up here. And this is a layer just like anything else. So I got my 4 corners on the sides. If I click one of the corners, it'll increase it in proportion. If I click one of the sides, I can elongate it or make it taller, shorter, etc. And I'm just going to do that, make it go from edge to edge. And sorry, I didn't explain. This is the shapes button in the top. It's a little square and a circle. And there's a rectangle, ellipse that you can add, or you can add a waveform. That is what I just added. And it's going to give you those sound waves as I'm talking. There's a progress bar, which I'll add next, line and arrow. So to show you the waveform, let's just take a look at this. Yeah, okay, that's going to work just fine. So what this is doing, and you can see it bouncing with the influctuation of my voice. Again, I'm going to add a progress bar, and I'm going to put the progress bar at the very bottom, and then I'll move the captions up a little bit so it's out of the way. And I can use the arrows on my keyboard to move it, or I can click and drag it. That's gonna work just fine. All right, so you got the waveforms, you got the progress bar, you can see it sliding, and that progress bar is going to be based off of the scene that it is in. Actually, correction, it's going to be based off of where you start it and stop it. So if it crosses over multiple scenes, the length of that progress bar is going to be different. I'll show you what I mean in a moment, but for now, I'm going to just shorten this up a little bit at the beginning, get rid of some of that empty space. And to do that, I just put my mouse right on the boundary of the clip, and I get this, it turns into this little bracket with arrows, and I can drag it left and right. I can only drag it as far left as the clip exists. It doesn't exist any further left than that, but I can drag it all the way to the right, all the way to the point of getting rid of it altogether. But we don't want that. So I'm just going to drag it to get rid of that first second of silence until I say the word yeah. That's going to work just fine. So what this is doing. All right, cool. We can change the playback speed of the whole thing by clicking this. So I could play it in slow motion at 1/2x. I could bump it up to 2x, 3x, and so on. But for most purposes, you'll just be playing at 1x. To SquadCast Cloud. And what? All right, cool. So we've shown you shapes, shown you captions and titles. Let me just show you some other shapes just for fun. Let me add an arrow, and you can't really see it. There's a blue line with dot on either end, and that is my arrow. And I can adjust the ends to like a start and stop point, basically. And it's super thin right now. I can barely see it. So let me just bump this up on the right side under the border here. Let's make this a 20. And it's white, so it's hard to see still. But if I click this little white circle next to it, let's make it red. Red's easy to see. And I'm just gonna make my whole screen bigger. Okay, so we can just adjust the start and end point. And basically, let me just like have it pointing at the text like that. Yeah, that's gonna work just fine. Cool. And we can click on it again to select that layer. And it's gonna be a little hard to grab there. I can resize my timeline by putting my mouse on the boundary, clicking and dragging up or down. So I'm going to drag it up just so I can get a little better view on everything. And there's my arrow. So let me click on that. And now I have it selected. And let's just point it at the sun. Right at the center of the sun. I can use my arrows to shift it up and over. And it's also every single layer in Descript has this layout heading, and I could adjust it, the X and Y, in this case of the starting points with this. I can click on it and drag left and right, make it bigger and smaller, or I can click in there, highlight it, and type in a new number. Okay, sorry about that. Lost internet for a second there. Let's get back to where we were. Okay, um, so that is good for some basic stuff that we got so far. Let's do some AI tools. So this button right here, this star button, is our shorten word gaps, remove filler words, copy highlights, and detect transcription errors. I usually start in typical workflow. One of the very first things I'll do is the remove filler words. And what this is looking for, if you click on this part of the header, in the pro version, you can look for any word you want, and it's got a lot that are built in. In the free tier, you're going to be more limited. It only does and but in the paid versions, you get repeated words, but you know, I guess, I mean, all that type of stuff. And this is telling you what it's looking for. And then over here on the right, it tells you what it found. And if you click on it, so it plays it in context. So it plays it a second before, plays the filler word, and then plays it a second after. So you can review it, decide if it's a change that you actually want to make, if that's something you actually want to get rid of. And if it is, then you can hit this remove button and it removes just that one. Wow. Let me check out these other ones. You can also scroll through them with these arrows up and down. You see where my mouse is. It gives you a. So that one I'm actually not going to delete. I'm going to do ignore. And then you can change it. And I'm going to do delete and remove all to get rid of the rest of them. And they're gone. And you can search for other words. So if you wanted to just, like, I have clients in the UK, and something I have to do a lot is change from American spelling to British spelling. And so I will do a search for the letter Z, and I'll find, in this case, it found Zoom, but something like the word recognize, or what's another common one? I can't think offhand, but American spelling with the Z. And then I find all instances of that. And this isn't going to really make sense, but I'm going to change all this zoom to an S to give you an example of how that works. So yeah, you could search for them. You could do find and, oh, this is changed actually. There used to be a way you could replace it just from this setting, but okay. For the second time, my internet decided to pick this hour of a live stream to shut off. Okay, let's press forward, see if we can finish this thing. We got, just figure out my YouTube here real quick. Mute that. Okay. So we were talking about AI tools. The other one, so we did remove filler words. They're all gone, so it's grayed out now. The next thing we can do is the shorten word gaps. If I click on that, it's telling me that it's looking for all word gaps of 1.2 seconds or more, of which it found one. And just like with the filler word, it puts it over here on the right, so you can play it in context. SquadCast. And then you can change it. And it caught the last part of that that was cut off. But I'm just gonna check that it. So that light gray part there, it didn't pick it up as the back part of the word SquadCast. So I'm not gonna apply that correction because it'll cut off that word. But what I'm gonna do is if I put my mouse here, I get the bracket. And we saw this before. I can drag it right to open up that clip. I could drag it left to close it up. So I'm just going to bring it all the way to where that word SquadCast ends. Let's play it. SquadCast. And then you can change your settings in the bottom left. And I hit the space button to play and pause. So convenient little hotkey for you there. One other hotkey to know about on a Mac, if you hit Command and then use your scroll wheel or two fingers on your MacBook touchpad, two fingers up and down, you can scroll in and out to make the timeline bigger, smaller. You see my timeline on the bottom there. And if you hold the Shift key and do the same thing, scroll up and down, you can go left and right. So handy little things that save a lot of time and hassle when you're editing a lot. Okay. So that is that. We got our studio sound, we got our video, our progress bar. Let's add some effects. Let's add some GIFs. If I go to the GIFs, I can add this box thing. Actually, let me just search for some other stuff. Let's type in stars. Let's add this thing. It'll blend in a little bit better. Takes a moment to load. And we're getting a lot of layers here. I don't normally have this many layers because I would have the project split into smaller scenes and have fewer layers applied in each scene. But we're demoing a lot of stuff right now. Okay, so it put this GIF in and it made it fill up the entire canvas, which is not quite what I want. I'm just gonna resize some stuff. So what I can do is I can drag the corners and I can resize it. And it put it in a 9:16 format, the standard landscape format. So what I can do is double click it. Oh, I can't do that, never mind. I don't double click it and I can resize it like so. Or I can reposition it within that box by double clicking and then dragging it up and down. And I can reposition it on my screen. There are red vertical and horizontal lines. If you see that when I have a layer selected and it kind of clicks it into place, that's telling me that's the center of the vertical and horizontal axis. It's a handy little feature. Descript doesn't have a lot of stuff like that as far as like guides and snap points. So that's kind of a frustration of mine, but we work with what we got. And we got the red arrow. And you can see it's getting cut off by the layer in front of it. So what we can do is click on it. You can select the layer that you want to change right here. We already got our arrow selected. We can see that check mark. With the layer order, we can bring this to the very frontmost of all the layers, or we can bring it forward one layer at a time. So let me bring it all the way to the front. And now it's in front of our GIF. And let's play it. So what this is doing is now recording to, cool. So we got that GIF, adding a little bit more movement to our video. And what we can do next is apply some effects. Well, I don't have, it's not me speaking, but one really cool thing to point out is this eye contact effect. I like it a lot. It can take, let me show you, let me demonstrate. If I come all the way to the end of my project, I hit space, and then I hit slash, or I can press the slash right there. That is, I can press it on my keyboard or I can press it on the transcript like I just did. And there is this record button, or I can hit record up here at the top. They're both going to give us the same thing. If I click it, I got this drop down. And let me just record camera only. Elvis is still passed out in the back. Once again, we saw this at the very beginning with our video message settings. You can set your audio if you want your computer audio to show up or not. I'm going to go ahead and disable it. Whether you want your FaceTime camera or another camera, you can pick that there, and your microphone. And I'm going to record into Descript. Again, the script. Oh, look at that. I haven't seen that before. It did the little thumbs up, or was that? I don't know if that was me or if that was someone watching, but I haven't seen that before regardless. So there's a record into script option, or I can record it as a new layer. In this case, I'm going to record it into script. I want it to transcribe myself and add it as a script layer. Record. There we go. Making a new video. Hello world. Test, test, test. Pause. There we go. And it's just going to take a moment to transcribe it. And it's already done. That's super quick. Go. Making a new video. All right. And this is a layer just like anything else. So I can select it. I can make it smaller. Whatever I want to do with it, I can do. But I'm going to apply the eye contact feature. So with that layer selected, I go to effects, I hit the plus button, and I simply hit eye contact. And it gives you this toast that it is applying eye contact to my camera. I can close it and it'll process in the background. While I'm waiting for that, let me apply green screen. So again, effects plus green screen. That too will take a moment to apply. It just has to load it. AI processing on Descript's cloud. I let that happen in the background. One thing I can do, another thing I can do, very important to know about, is animations. Oh, look at that. Green screen is applied and eye contact is applied. So my background is now gone. And I'm now looking at the camera. So let me toggle on the eye contact so you can see what it looks like without it. And then with it. So my eyes, here, let me make some changes here so things are easier to see. I can change the background. Right now it's just it defaults to a black background. If I come to this background tab here on the right, I can hit the plus button and white is the next default. And my shoulder gets cut off a little bit there, so I can bring it back by adjusting the layer. And there I am. Okay, first things first, I want the animation. So with that layer selected, center myself up. That layer selected, there's this animation heading, hit the plus button, hit custom. And basically on our timeline, we see two boxes. That is our starting keyframe and then our end keyframe. And whatever happens between the two, the change between the two is the animation that you'll get. So right now my starting keyframe is me in the middle. If I make it me going off screen, I'm going to slowly drift off screen over the course of the scene.
And stop this or go making a new video.
Like so. I can't think of a use case where you might need that, but it's not just that. You can also do zooms. So what I wanted to show you is the eye contact feature. So I'm going to make this zoomed in where you can see my face better.
Stop. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this or go making a new video. Hello world.
All right. So let's find a part where I'm not looking at the camera. I select the layer. I go to my eye contact toggle and I turn it on. You see that? On, off, on, off. Boom. Cool. I like it a lot. It helps with, like, if you're reading a script, like a teleprompter, can't even tell anymore because it looks like your eyes are just locked on the camera. Or if you're looking down at your keyboard, whatever it might be, that little imperfection is gone. And I've seen people posting videos and stuff where they're wearing sunglasses, and even through the sunglasses, it's fixing the eye contact. So it's very powerful. And they say it's in beta, so I don't know. It looks a little bit, or maybe more than a little bit. It looks unnatural to an extent. Like, it doesn't look like quite my natural eyes, like maybe a little bigger than they'd normally be. And so I think that'll be improved with future versions. Okay, we are pretty much out of time. So what I'm going to do in this last few minutes is plug my services. So I have Descript Mastery, which is a course, and it's $99. And for September only, I am doing, since September's the rest of today, one free coaching call, 1 hour of a coaching call where you just get one-on-one Zoom time. And we go over any blockers you have, workflow, questions, whatever you want. And for September only, I was offering a free hour of coaching if you buy the course, which is $99. And so that's in effect for the next, what do we got, like 8 hours left in September. So take advantage of that if you want. This is descriptmastery.com. Let me drop this in the YouTube chat. For some reason, I can't resize my screen there. Okay, Descript Mastery is in the chat. And again, if you book it for the rest of today, $99, you'll get a free coaching call on Zoom with me. And this is what's in it. we talk about the basics, which was a lot of stuff that we covered today. Different script tools, which we didn't even get into today. Text and captioning, we covered that a bit. The fades and transitions, audio editing, video editing, screen recording, we talked about that a bit. Adding shapes, templates, and overlays. Collaborating with a team, if you have editors or producers that you work with. This is how to invite them, how to allow them to comment, how to get feedback from clients in live videos, things like that. Frequently asked questions. This is my ever-growing section of the course because new things always come up, new issues. I've talked about, or I guess I have it in a second section here, the part 14, where augmenting Descript with Canva, Zapier, and other third-party apps. So if you have connections with, like, setting up a Google Drive where you drop a file into your Google Drive and you automatically have Zapier set up a Zap where it will auto add it to your Descript workspace and then transcribe it for you. I've got modules on doing that. Then Descript updates. Every time Descript releases a new update. Oh, correction, that's the last part. I don't even know my own course. I put a new video out just showing you what's different about the UI, what hotkeys are different, what new features are added. And that's just to keep you up to speed on all of that. So that is Descript Mastery. If you follow this link, it takes you to the course landing page and you can check it out right there. That's where you hit the buy now. And there's a little bit more information about the course. There are the sections and you can leave comments if you'd like. There's an event space where here is the webinar that we're in right now, but future webinars will get posted there. And then as well as the sessions where you can book an hour of my time, $45 an hour. And again, it's just a Zoom call. We'll go over your project. We can edit together. You can ask questions, whatever you want. So my goal is to help as many people as possible in this software. And I really believe in this software. I think there's a big learning curve to it, which is why my job is able to exist because so many people need help getting over that initial hump of just like, where are things? And it's very different than other editors because of it being transcript based versus timeline based, like Premiere, iMovie, Final Cut, all those other ones. So it's a little hard to get used to, but it's got some features that used to take me hours to make a simple podcast. I can do with the click of a button. I didn't even talk about templates. You can do templates in Descript, which with the click of a button, you can apply your settings. So for example, you could have a template for your captions where you just hit apply template and it applies your font, your size, everything that you use in all of your videos, whatever your brand guidelines are, and you can apply it with the click of a button. So things like that are super simple and super easy once you get them set up. That is it. Thanks for those who joined, and I'll see you next month or sooner if you book a tutoring call. All right, ciao.